Recording in progress.
Okay, so I'll show you our first move, and then I'll put the interval clock on. And during the 10-second rest period, I'll show you what the next exercise is. So we're going to be on the floor for the entire ab workout. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to start with your legs extended and your arms extended. And all you're going to do is you're going to tuck your knees in and then extend your legs back out and extend your arms back out. If you need to drop your arms and your feet to the floor, you can do that. If you can keep them up about 1 inch off the floor and keep tucking and then extending, try that. But if you need to, you can actually take them down onto the floor. All right, I'm going to start our interval clock for 45 seconds. All right, here we go. So start with the extension and then tuck and then back to the extension. When you actually tuck your legs, you want your whole back to actually be like on the mat. And you'll notice like when you extend that you'll have this gap in your back. So you'll want to tuck your knees until your whole back is on the mat. And like I said, if you need to put your arms and feet on the floor after you tuck, you can do that instead of holding them out. So here's our 10-second rest. So we're going to keep in that extension. All you're going to do is lift your arms and your legs and back down. Lift them and then back down. And when you put them back down, this time you actually want to make sure that they're hitting the floor. Okay? And you'll notice that gap in your back when you are at the extension. And then you'll notice when you pick your arms and your legs up that your back is flat on the floor. And you don't want to lift your legs too far up. And if you need to take a break, next is our frog crunch. So your feet are together. The bottoms of your feet are together. All you're doing is bringing your legs up and then back down. If you can keep your head up off the floor the whole time, try that. But if you need to, you can actually just keep it on the floor. And you're not moving your upper body, it's just your lower body that you're crunching. And the same thing, when you bring your legs back down, you'll notice that gap in your back, and then when you lower them, you notice the gap, and when you bring them up, you notice that your back is going to be flat on the mat. So now we're doing a single leg crunch. So it's opposite arm, opposite leg. You're going to crunch. We're only doing one leg at a time. So pick a side, and then you'll crunch up, and you'll lay it back on the floor. You don't have to hold it up. It'll go straight back on the floor. So if you're doing the left leg, it'll be the right arm that comes up. Right leg, left arm comes up. And then after this, then we're going to switch on the next 45. So here's our 10-second break. So make sure your other arm, whatever arm you're not using, you're actually laying flat on the floor. So you're picking your other side, you're crunching up and letting it back down on the floor. If you don't like the lifting your head, you can just lift your leg and your arm and let your head rest on the mat. And you can do that if you need to take a break in between. And when you lift your leg, that's when you're going to notice that your back is going to be flat on the mat. And then when you leave it down on the floor, you'll notice that gap in your back. All right, we're doing Russian twists. So when we do these, you want to make sure that you're leaned back and you're actually touching the floor. If you want a little more, you can keep your legs up in the air, but make sure you're touching your legs or your hands on the floor. And make sure you're leaned back and you're not sitting up. Oh, these are our favorite. I know they are. Don't worry, we only do one round, so we don't have to do the Russian twist anymore. Alright, now we're doing toe reaches. So you're going to put your legs up. You're going to keep them up in the air. You're going to reach up toward your toes and then back down. And you want to keep your arms up in the air. Reach it to your toes and then back down. Reach to your toes. And then when you're laying on the mat, that's when you're going to see that or feel that gap. And then when you reach toward your toes, your back should be flat on the floor. And then you want to lay your head down back on the mat. All right, we're going to do toe reaches again, but you want to start in the extension, and then you're going to bring your legs up to a toe reach and back down. Now, if you can keep your feet and your hands off the floor when you bring it back down, that's great. But if you need to drop them both, then you can do that. So it comes up and you're up to a toe reach and then back down. Up to a toe reach and then back down. Remember, you can keep them on the floor if you need to when you come back down. Whew. All right, here's our 10-second. We're going to do dead bugs. So you're going to start your legs in this tabletop position. And what you're doing is your left leg and your right arm come down for an extension. We're only doing the right arm and left leg first. Okay? That's all we're doing first. And then we'll switch on the next 45. Make sure you're extending your legs straight when you bring it down. If you can hold it up about an inch off the floor, you can do that. Or if you need to take it down and rest it in between, you can. Your other arm stays right up. All right, here's our 10-second break, and then we're doing the other side. So it'd be the right leg that comes down and the left arm. And then both the other arm and the other leg stay up. This takes coordination. You got to think about what you're doing. right, here's our 10-second break. Next, we're doing a tuck to a tabletop. So what you're doing is you're tucking your knees in and you're bringing it back out to a tabletop. So my head comes up, my knees get tucked in, my head comes down, and my knees go back into the tabletop. So it's tuck and then tabletop. Tuck, and then you're extending your legs to the tabletop. Make sure you're putting your head back down on the floor, as well as your hands come back down to the floor until you're ready to tuck your knees in again. And then extend to that tabletop. If you don't like moving your neck, you can just tuck your knees in and go right to the tabletop. Next, we're doing our scissor kick. So we're starting at the top, and then we're kicking all the way to the bottom, and then back up to the top. So try not to let your feet touch the floor at the bottom, but if you need to take a rest, then you can drop them and then start again. So you're basically crossing. And try to keep them off the floor. About an inch off the floor before you start to go back up. Next, we're doing flutter kicks. So if you can keep your hands around your neck and your neck up and flutter your feet, you can do that. Or you can keep them flat on the floor. Or if you need that support, put your hands under your butt and then just flutter your feet. So it's kind of up to you if you want to keep your neck supported. But you can also leave your neck down on the mat. Whew. All right, we're doing those tabletop, the heel drops. So your hands are flat on the floor. Your legs are on that tabletop. All you're doing is dropping your alternating heels. So you touch your heel to the floor and then bring it back up in that tabletop. Your head should be on the mat as well. And you're just touching the heel and then right back up. So I'll tell you the next one on the break. I'll demonstrate the alternate leg drop, but we're going to stay in this position. Except we're not going to be dropping the heels anymore. We're going to be dropping the feet. So you're alternating right and then left. Start at the top, drop it. If you want to keep your head up in the air for a little more resistance, you can do that, or you can keep your head flat on the mat. So if you want to drop your heel to the floor, you can do that, or if you want to keep it about an inch off the floor, you can do that as well. It kind of just depends on what you're feeling at the present time, whether you need that rest for your leg. All right, next we're going to be in the plank position. So we're going to be doing, it's called a pendulum. So you're taking your one leg, you're bringing it out and swinging it in. Out, swinging it in. If you want to drop your knee to the mat and do the plank that way, your leg comes out, swings back in. Leg comes out, swings back in. So if you want to continue in that regular plank position, it'll look like this. If you want to drop your knee, same thing. We're just doing the right side, and then after the 10-second rest, we're going to do the other side. So your leg comes out, swing it back in. So now we're getting ready to do the other side. So you can be in that regular plank, you swing it out and back in, or you can be on your knees. Your leg comes out and swing it in. Our next plank position that we're going to do is either on your hands or on your elbows. So you can either stay on your elbows. We're doing plank to downward dog. You can stay on your elbows the whole time. All I'm doing is moving my core. Or you can stay in the high plank and move yourself from plank to downward dog. It's up to you. So elbows or high plank. Keep it going. All right, next we're doing a butterfly crunch. So your feet are in that kind of that frog position like they were before, except you're leaving them on the mat. And all you're doing is crunching up your top half. You're leaving your legs alone. Your feet will be on the floor. The bottoms of your feet will be stuck together. Next is the bicycle crunch. So remember, you're pushing your legs out. You can either have your head up in the air or you can leave it on the ground. If you need that extra support, you can actually have your hands under your butt to support your back. So it's kind of up to you. If you want that little extra workout, you can keep your head and your shoulders off the floor. And we're not circling, we're pushing. About an inch off the floor, not all the way up here. Whew. All right, now we're going to do an extension to a toe tap. You're going to leave your legs up here. You're just tapping your toes and bringing them back up. They're kind of in like a diagonal. They're not all the way up here, but they're kind of here in this diagonal motion. And you're just tapping your toes and bringing it back up. If you want that extra workout and you want your shoulders and your head off the floor, you can continue to do that. Or you can have your head on the mat. All right, now we are doing a half wiper. We're only going to the right side. So you're taking your legs well, the right or the left. You can pick. So it's the same side. You want to support your head with your hands. You're taking your legs to the left or right. Just in that half circle motion. And then after the 10-second break, then we'll do the other side. Okay, here's our break. After the 10 seconds, we're going to do the other side. So just to the other side and then back up to the center. So for this next one, you're going to want your arms out to the side. I think you'll like this one. It's a full leg circle. So you're going from one side. When you reach the top, you're going to go to the other side. It's a full circle. So you're switching direction. If you need to rest your feet at the bottom, and then pick it back up, you can. So it's a complete circle, and then switch it. Now our last one is like our Russian twist, but we're doing a figure 8. So you're still going to lean back. Instead of touching your hands to the floor, you're making this dip motion. So your elbow comes down toward the floor, and you're making this figure 8 motion. Ooh, this is our last set before our stretch. If you want it, you can keep your legs up in the air. All right, now here's our stretching set. I will stop the interval timer. So we're going to start with a child's pose. We're just holding it for about 10 seconds before we switch to our other one. Now we're going to change this to our puppy pose. So you want to get up on your knees, and your elbows and your head are down on the floor, but your butt is not. Okay, now you want to go into that frog sit. So take your legs out, your knees are tucked in, and you want to sit it back as far as you can. So in that sitting position, you'll want one leg to be extended out you're going to take one knee, you're going to reach underneath, and you're going to pull it toward you. And then you're going to switch. So bring the other leg underneath the knee, pull it, and bring it toward you. And now that same leg that you have pulled toward you, cross it over the other, and then you're twisting in the opposite direction. Okay, then switch. Cross the other leg over and then twist in the opposite direction. So in that butterfly position, you're going to take your hands and push them up toward the ceiling. And then you're just going to lean to one side. And then switch it to the other. And then take it in a full circle. And now bring it the other way. All right, we made it through our 30-minute workout.
Recording stopped.